Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
you're the host now, Rosie. I've just sent it to you.
Oh, exciting. My printer's just told me that I need ink. Oh, fun. People are here. Never mind, I won't print it.
Can we just check your screen share if you're doing one?
Yeah, let me put that up. File. Is it best to do it from PowerPoint? Does it work better like that if you do it from PowerPoint and then share the screen, or does it work better if you put it in as a file from Drive?
I think the first one,
Okay.
and then when you screen share with Zoom, it should allow you to select which window you want to share. So
Yeah.
PowerPoint one.
Fun. Okay.
So I can see your PowerPoint. It's not. I'm seeing like the edit options as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does it look like slides?
Yes, it does.
Anyone else who's in already, does that look all right for you?
Just zooming in now, Rosie. Let's have a little look.
I'm not very good at Zoom. I normally use Google Hangouts, so.
Everyone's going to be good at Zoom by the time this. You want to try just going backward and forward a couple of slides and just seeing if it's working fine? Yep, that's you going back and forth, yeah.
Hey.
Cool.
Right, now let's work out my other controls.
So I've got it recording.
Lovely. Oh, you're already recording?
Well, I have it set up so that any meeting I create is recorded to the cloud.
Okay, cool.
But if you want to make a backup, please do, because don't want it to disappear. I see that some people are joining us already. Hello. People are feel free to chat, but yeah. So
I should leave my lovely classical music on in the background, shouldn't I, for this bit?
Yeah. Well, maybe if people have questions, you can help them to contribute a bit more effectively later on.
Oh, lovely. I've worked out how to mute everyone.
That is like the killer app that real life doesn't have.
Yeah, I know. Imagine if in a face-to-face meeting, you could be like, no, shush now. I'm talking.
Yep.
I do that a lot. especially with some societies, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just sitting in the room with them and you're like, oh, I think my Wi-Fi is breaking up, and then just walk out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So for those of you that are already here, say hi. Find the chat and say hi. I'm doing that now. Everyone who's here already is a grade A keen bean for being early. Well done.
I was thinking they were all like 2 minutes early, but they're all 12 minutes early.
12 minutes. Well, my phone says 9, so yeah. Is anybody else in like a community for their street or whatever WhatsApp group, because there's 2 for my local area, and I really appreciate the sentiment, but oh my gosh, some of these people are just chatting all day about milk. Every time I look at my phone, it's like, bzz, oh, someone else, and it's getting a bit distracting, because it's not about, like, I keep thinking it's an urgent update from the council, but it's not.
I had to leave mine because it just became about either toilet paper or people arguing, or people arguing about toilet paper.
Yeah, I had to become the social secretary for my street, and I've made 2 groups now. So one is for urgent COVID updates, and one is for, I've called it the community spirit chat, but people started talking on the urgent group with all the old people on it about the street party that they were going to organise when this is all gone. I was like, I really don't think this is urgent, everyone. And then I had to be the fun police, but then, you know, as expected, I organised the fun too and put them in another group. Thanks for doing your intros, team. Keep them coming. If you've got any questions that you already have, pop them in there. Not guaranteeing that we're going to answer everything because we've not got ages, but we will do our best to have a bit of a chat about as much as possible.
And it's good ideas for kind of future sessions, what the
Definitely.
other topics are.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know how to share the note. Hang on, let's do this. Come on, Rosie. Be tech savvy. If I press ESC, what happens? Nothing. Ooh. If I do show presenter view, can you see it as presenter view? You can, can't you?
Let's see.
No.
No, we're still just seeing the normal presentation.
Yeah, we're just seeing the normal presentation.
Oh, lovely. Great, okay. That's good.
Smashed it.
Smashed it. I'm a professional now.
So now it's gone back to the edit view.
Oh, damn it.
Said that too soon, didn't I?
Yeah, thanks that. Thanks for that, Dan. Right, shareable link. Here we go. Here we go. Right, chat. Yes, okay. There's a link to a document that I've just put in the chat for collective note-taking and a register.
A register is very on brand for organised fun.
Yeah. Okay, so now if I go back to Zoom. Oh, crikey. I'm glad we started early so I can get my head around how this all works. I'm a Google Hangouts woman. I'm not that good at Google Hangouts either, let's be honest, but right, if I press go on here again, then what happens? Ooh, okay. Now if I try and do it in presenter view, what happens?
So we can still see the actual presentation.
Uh-huh. And then if I go like this, does it change slides?
Yep, that's the next slide.
Oh my gosh, so you can
That's
do
the first
presenter
slide.
view in Zoom. This is a game changer.
I'm never going to a meeting again.
And it means that I don't need to print, so we're helpfully saving the environment too. Yes. So if you haven't already, if you're new to the meeting, find the chat bar and introduce yourself in the chat. Just who are you, what do you do, which SU you're from, or institution or wherever. Say hi to each other, have a little chin wag about what snack you've got on right now.
Stay strictly 2 meters apart from each other.
Well, that's easy online. I've just had an apple with some peanut butter. Very good snack, by the way. If you're a fan of peanut butter, if you're not, probably not, but I enjoyed it.
We're up to 32 participants and there's still 4 minutes to go.
Lovely. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
There's some familiar faces, but there's also some people I don't know. So that's fun. And people are tweeting too. That's nice too. So yeah, in the chat there's a link to a document where we can collectively note take, and there's a little register that would be helpful if you could add yourself in there so we can see who's here and send you any follow-up resources and bits and bobs. But also note the word collectively. So if you, as we're talking about something, think of something that might be useful for everybody else, or if you've got an idea, or if you've got another question, then pop that all in the Word doc. It's an online document, and then we'll review it afterwards.
Where am I looking for that?
So in the chat, find the chat for this meeting, and then I've dropped a link to it in there.
Oh, you've not done it yet? Okay, cool.
Well, I have, but I'll do it.
People up.
I'll do it again. Here we go. I'll keep
Thanks.
doing it so it's easy to find.
Thank you.
No problem. Oh.
Rosie, how do we access the chat? If we've clicked onto that document, I've lost the main window.
Andrew?
We go back to Zoom, and at the bottom of the window with Rosie's presentation, you should see a chat bubble. Rosie, it might be time to mute everyone.
Yeah, we've got about 30 seconds. So, yeah. So if you struggle to jump between the screens during the meeting, feel free to add your notes afterwards. The document's live, and you've all got access to it, and we'll send it in the notes as well, so we can carry on adding to that document and using that as a collective space. Right. Okay. So I've been told to mute everybody.
But
So
just mute everyone on arrival, yeah.
I'm going to do that now, not because I don't love and care for you all, but because I don't want to hear CBeebies in the background. So I've muted you all. Done. Okay. I feel really horrible and controlling. Apologies if in the background of mine you can hear kids playing. The next door neighbours are having some sort of amazing Super Soaker fight. Not homeschooling, we all know. Joking. So they're having a great time. So if you hear like giggles in the background, it's next door. So thanks for coming. Thanks for spending 45 minutes to an hour with your pals and Student Opportunities. It's very nice to see you all. There's lots of familiar faces here, but there's lots of people that I don't know either. So hi, give a wave. Nice little wave. I can see a few people. That's good. So we're talking about keeping Student Opportunities going in this bonkers, weird time. Going to try and keep it positive and optimistic, but also recognise that you're not all having the best time and it's tricky. So let's look after each other. And this is the start of these sorts of conversations, and it's by no means the only chance for us to do this. So if you've got ideas as we go through of other stuff that we can do together online as Student Opportunities people, then please write them down, pop them in the notes, pop them in the chat, and we will hopefully be able to do some of that. So what's next? This is me. Hi, I am Rosie Hunnam. I run Organised Fun. So I'm the founder of Organised Fun, and we do a lot of consultancy, we do some training, some project management, we work with partners, we do a little bit of research, and we're just about to start a blog because that's fun. with all things to do with student opportunities. So we specialise in clubs, societies, student volunteering, student media and fundraising. So all of the organised fun that happens through student unions, that's what we do, that's what we love and care about. I know a lot of you because I've worked with you over the past year or so, but also I used to work at NUS, so I used to be a consultant at NUS specialising in student opportunities there. I was there for about 5 years, and then before then I was a staff member at Swansea University Students' Union, working predominantly with societies, but we were a really small SU, so I did basically everything to do with what we now call opportunities. And yeah, so that's us. Our contact details are along the bottom. Please do get in touch. And as I've said in the comms about this isn't a pitch for us to get more work or anything like that. The purpose of today is to help you out, to provide some community, and just try and support each other in this weird time. So you can get in touch, and I am not going to reply to you being like, brilliant, pay me hundreds of pounds to do that, please. So that's not what this is for. Obviously, if you want to do that, that's great too, but that's not what this is for. Okay, tangential pitch. If you haven't already heard about the National Societies and Volunteering Awards, now's your chance. We planned these and intended to run them and have a lovely party in May in person, you know, your usual lovely awards party. However, this coronavirus stuff has stopped the awards party, but it hasn't stopped the awards. And nominations close on Friday, and there's lots of student unions that have submitted nominations, and we've had some really great ones, but there's plenty of you that haven't too. And I know you're all really busy, but I just wanted to put it in front of you just so you know it's happening. So please nominate your societies and volunteering projects, because we'd love to read about them. That's my only tangential bit. Now back to the point. So why are we here today? Coronavirus has thrown everything into, I wouldn't say chaos, it's not all chaos, but everything has changed. And most of you have had significant changes over the past week or so, have had to move into home offices or the sofa and start working from home. You've had to contact all your students and tell them that they can't do their events that they've been planning and working hard for anymore, and that they have to move those online or postpone them. And you all care about this and the students that you support, and we had lots of people saying that you wanted a chance to chat about it. And then Dan from UCL, do you want to unmute yourself to say hi, Dan? Dan also thought that something like this would be a good idea, and then me and him had a chat and thought we'd do something together instead of doing two separate things. So Dan, just if you could just sort of say like what you thought would be useful about bringing people together.
Hi guys, yeah, so thanks Rosie. So my name's Dan, I'm the Society Development Coordinator at Students' Union UCL. Obviously one of the things that we kind of thought kind of came out of this would be to kind of create some resources and some guidance to kind of provide student opportunities and activities departments across different unions, just kind of with some generic help tools and kind of other things that we could pull together. So we're all going to kind of be in the same boat. So kind of put something out on the Wonky chat, and then that's when I realised that Rosie was doing something similar. So we're going to kind of put it together. And you know, it could be an article on Wonky, it could be some resources that we share, but it'd be good to see what comes out of this, and then we can kind of move forward with it, really.
Yes, perfect, thank you. And as Dan said, this we can do more after today, and that doesn't have to be that like I'll make some stuff, you can make some stuff, you can carry on conversations, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on too. So the session now is about sort of having this conversation about maintaining community spirit, about helping you to keep your student leaders motivated and involved in the SU, because I know that a lot of people are worried that they're all just going to drop away. We struggle anyway with getting our student leaders to do stuff often, and this is a big curveball that none of us could plan for. And then I'm hoping, I've seen loads of really cool stuff that your students have been doing and that you've been organising with literally like no planning time. So there's a chance for you to share some of those ideas and things that have gone well, so that you can all learn from each other. And as I've said for probably about the last 5-6 years, we're not in competition. Copying is cool in this world, and if someone copies you, you're like, yeah, I had a great idea. So please share stuff and please copy each other, because if something's worked well in another SU, it may work well for you too. But it's always nice if you have copied someone to tell them, because then they can get that nice warm fuzzy feeling of doing something nice. So that's what the session's about. This is the 5 sections of today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like what we're going to do, then do our little motivational speech bit about why we do what we do and why we care about it. Then, shock horror, talk about governance. We don't really talk about governance so much in student opportunities. There's a couple of people pulling faces about that, I know. Then we'll talk about community building and maintaining a community, not necessarily just building one because you already have one. Student engagement and volunteer support tips. In the questions that we asked you before you signed up to this, lots and lots and lots of people said, we want our students to stay engaged. We want our students to stay engaged. So I see that as a big worry for people. And then the last bit is talking about this as a community. And one of the big things that we're trying to do with Organised Fun is make it so that whether you're a student volunteer, a staff member, or a sabbatical officer working or volunteering within student opportunities, we want to be your home for that. We want to be the place that your first place to turn to. And that's not us trying to replace NUS. We work with NUS. It's not us trying to replace NASFA, the Student Fundraising Association, or any of the media associations. It's working together in partnership with those people. And I see this is a really good opportunity for us to start doing some of that community building online. So we'll talk at the end, if we've got time, about what we can do going forward to keep this community spirit between us going. Okay, so how will this pitch-in run? I've said already that there's a chat option in Zoom. So use the chat, introduce yourself, say who you are, pop your questions in there. I've also put in the chat a link to a Google document that's our collective note-taking place, so use that too. I've already muted you, sorry. And then there's a chance for you to pitch in. So the idea behind these that Andrew from SU Skills came up with is that I'm not the kind of all-knowing expert on this. I know some stuff and I love it. But you have really good ideas, and this is a chance for you all to share those. So I've put some structure together for our conversation, and I've got some thoughts on how we can do stuff, but you will have tons of fab ideas. So please don't be shy. There's no wrong answers. No one's going to laugh at you. Pitch in your ideas. Tell us what you've been up to. I predict this conversation could go on for 3 or 4 hours, but it's not going to, because you're all busy people. But as I said before, this doesn't have to be the only time we talk about this. And so feel free, pitch in. But if we don't get around to talking about the bit that you want to talk about, then let me know, let Andrew know, and we'll try and make that happen in another way. You're all Zoom pros now. You're probably better at this than I am, because I'm a Google Hangouts woman rather than a Zoom person. However, I'm really enjoying this and it's working well so far. So I copied these bits of slides from Jo from 25 Dots because she did one of these on Monday. So thank you, Jo, for having these ready, because doing all of this Zoomy stuff is complicated for me. And also, while I'm talking about Jo, her session on Monday was really useful for using different online tools and for how you adapt now that everything's digital. So I recommend listening back to that or sharing it with your comms people if you don't feel that you're the right person to read that. But I found it super useful, and I'm not a comms person. So, and then Andrew did one last week also about like as the introductory one of these, and you can listen back to both of those. So if you've got time, please do. I can't remember what I was saying about Zoom, but yeah, use the tools. You can do hands up and stuff, but I'm not confident I can actually see your hands up, so sorry if I missed that. You can send messages to each other and you can send them to everyone, and that's what's showing on here. But you probably know how to use these tools better than me. And I can see that the chat's flashing, so I'll just have a little look. I think you're all just introducing yourself to each other. Yeah, you are. That's good. And Andrew's helpfully shared the pitch-in session from Monday. Well done, Andrew. So let's chat about student opportunities, because that's why we're all really here. Ta-da! This little bit of art in the corner is by an artist that I follow on Instagram called Dallas Clayton, who is the most joyful man in the world. He paints stuff. And I liked this little picture. Sorry if it's a little bit like nursery school for some people, but I live with some kids, so you know that's what my house looks like now. So this stuff, as I've said already, what's going on at the moment in the world is really weird and hard, and you don't have to be a superhero right now. Just do your best. What we're here to talk about today is some ideas and things to think about, and to chat with others who've been doing similar stuff to you over the past few weeks. But I'll just say now, don't take this presentation as your to-do list. They're ideas, and you just do what you can. Everyone is muddling through, everyone is finding it a bit strange, and whatever you can do is better than nothing. So yeah, just a little reminder of that, and a reminder to me too, because I am always trying to just do everything. So that's nice. My first kind of point for you is, I think loads of you will have seen this before. It's Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, and I talk about this a lot, so I think there's some people here from Sunderland, and I've been working with them recently, and we were talking about this the other day, and I recommend that you watch Simon Sinek's TED Talk. It's very cheesy and American, but the point is really useful. And before we were in this coronavirus pandemic, and before we were having to massively adapt what we were doing, I spent a lot of time talking to students' unions and student opportunities departments about focusing on the why, focusing on why do we do student opportunities? Why do students get involved in student opportunities? What difference is it making? What impact is it making? And I think now more than ever, this is really, really important. So the hows and the whats come next, but the why is the bit that's crucial. So I think I just wanted to sort of remind you of that if you've seen this before, encourage you to watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. And then as a starting point, if you're looking at all of your massive to-do list and all the stuff that you had planned for this next few weeks and next few months, and working out like, oh, well, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Go back to the why of why you're doing that bit and use that as your starting point, because we can't do everything the same, and we can't just do society handovers in the same way that we used to. We certainly can't do sports fixtures in the way that we intended them to be. So yes, that's my point one. Let me just have a little look at the chat. Good, everybody's doing intros, that's nice. So the next bit is the bit that most people have been talking about, is we have to do our handovers, we have to do our elections, we have to do training, blah, blah, blah. So I remind you of what I've just said about the why part, but obviously with some of this stuff it does really feel like we have to do it, and in an ideal world, absolutely, and it's business as usual, and we carry on and we get this stuff done. Getting societies and groups to do handovers at the best of times is hard, and getting them to do it when you're not having that same interaction, and while everybody's distracted with lots of other things going on, is even more difficult. This is where we can talk about governance. So you may not use them a lot because they're not so relevant to your work all the time, but every students' union will have some governance that says what your elections, for example, need to, like, what's the kind of the absolute minimum that your elections and stuff need to do. So I'm not explaining that well. Let me start again. So for your societies and your sports clubs and your volunteering teams and your RAG and your media, you'll have some kind of rules in place around that already. And even if they're not written down perfectly, you will have something. That's the bit which is your kind of your go-to in terms of what you need to do right now in terms of handovers and elections and stuff. And your bylaws will say something like all societies need to have an elected committee. And that might be fine if you've done that already, and if you've run your society elections. You might be in the middle of doing it right now and it's trickier. You might not have done that, or it might not be something that you already do, and that's fine. But go back to your bylaws, your constitution, and your group's policies and procedures and see what they say. Now, you don't have to then go like bust a gut to do that exactly how you usually would, but online. See if you can achieve what you need to do from a governance perspective, and if you can't, work out what the limitations are on that. And if it really is that you can't do that and that it's not going to work in the current situation, that's fine. Can it be postponed? Because that's possible. And if it can't be, then take it to your governing body. So usually the trustees would be the people that could make the final decision on this kind of thing, and see if you can make a written exemption for this period of time. Now, for a lot of you, this won't be a problem because you'll already be through it, but it's something that lots of people have talked to me about and that they're worried about. And just because something is in your bylaws or your constitution, it does mean you have to do it. But at the moment, because everything is so different, you can make those exemptions, but you just need to make a conscious decision to make those exemptions and not just be like, nah, I'll sack it off because it's hard. So yes, that's our governance chat. But we know that what we do isn't just about compliance, and there's a big worry about engagement going if we don't do society and club handovers, for example, or if we don't run elections for our student leaders. What will happen if we don't do these handovers and if we don't do these elections? Will we lose engagement? Yes, probably. I don't like being a pessimist, but I think everybody I've spoken to in the last few weeks has said that this is changing how we're working now, but will also change things in the future. And there's only so much we can do to mitigate, like, for the fact that that engagement's going to change. So we might lose engagement in some areas, but I think we're going to gain engagement through students that can do things because we're doing stuff online for the first time, or that we're doing more online. So my message on this is just to do your best, and don't be too hard on yourself if you can't kind of get every society handed over perfectly, or if you can't get all the elections done. Training is a massive one, and for lots of you already do your training online or some of it online, and I think that that's probably one that we should talk about in a full meeting, because I think that I know there's lots of student unions that do really cool online training that would be more than happy to talk to those that aren't so used to that yet. So if that's you, if you already do online training, or if you already do some online training and you fancy chatting to others about it, then pop that in the chat or in the document that we shared. And if you're not that, if you're a student union staff member or officer who is going, oh my gosh, we always do ours face to face, I really don't know where to start with this other than sending them a Word document, then don't despair. It doesn't need to cost loads of money. You don't need to be really a massive tech wizard to do good online training, and there's plenty of people here who can help you, who would enjoy helping you. So I think we can have a little bit of a knowledge exchange on training. But I think right now, in terms of the training, if you were having to prioritise it, I think if I was in your situation and I didn't have a huge amount of training, I would focus on the kind of the onboarding bit of our training and focus on the enthusiasm bit and we're very grateful that you're a Students' Union volunteer. Thank you for being a student leader with us. Well done for getting elected or selected. And trying to show them that you love them and care about them at this point, and then tell them what's coming next, or at least what the intention is for what's coming next, if you're starting from scratch. So I've talked for a bit. It's time for you to talk for a bit. So how is everybody handling the stuff, this kind of compliance bit, the stuff that feels like we really need to get this stuff done? How are people handling that? What's been tricky about that? Let's have a little bit of a conversation about it. And I'll unmute you now. Or no, you can unmute yourselves if you want to say something, I think. Have a go. Go on, I dare you. Oh, you all just love the sound of my voice so much that you don't want to talk. Anyone?
Go on, I'll go. Hi, everyone.
Yay!
So I'm Ali. I'm the Activities and Opportunities Officer at UEASU. And I think in terms of elections, we're doing quite well because we obviously, all our elections are online. So all of that stuff was kind of in place before the COVID-19 happened. I think with training is probably the thing that we're going to struggle the most. With handover as well, I think that's going to be fairly easy because even though we provide days for old committees and new committees to have like a handover session, we do make handover quite like free for them. So even though we'll train them on the main things and we give them a guidance, and we've put our guidance on our website of what handover should look like and what things they need to tell the new committee, is pretty much their own thing. So the old committee kind of manages its own handover for the new committee most of the time. I'm happy to share the guidance that we've put on our website with everyone. So if you want to get our guidance on what the handover looks like for their own committee to do their own handover, let me know and I'm happy to share that with you.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, and then in terms of training, I think that's probably where we would need a bit more help, because I think our staff right now are looking at basically putting everything on the website. But if I've seen that Anglia Ruskin and someone else is already doing online training, so I'm probably gonna send a few emails around to see what they do and to see what we are trying to do and whether that kind of matches up. So if anyone has any tips on online training, let me know. And I'll just put my email on the website now in case anyone needs any of the handover or election stuff that we've got, because I think we're doing quite well with that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything that has anybody had any kind of big headaches in terms of getting this kind of stuff done?
We found moving to online training quite easy, actually. So we used to run a week's worth of training for committee members, and it was obviously they're all compulsory sessions. What we moved over to was kind of creating, we almost created like, I'd say kind of, 3 days worth of kind of online material that they would read, and then there was a quiz at the end. What they basically have to do is they have to answer a certain percentage of the quiz questions correct to essentially pass, and if they pass, that's fine. They get 2 attempts at that quiz. If they don't pass on the second attempt, then the relevant coordinator will be running almost like a drop-in session that they will then have to come to. And that was quite an easy switch over because we found that it allowed them to be a bit more flexible when they actually did the training. Obviously, we ran 2 kind of training periods, one in the kind of the handover time and then another one in the September time. But for both of those, some people just can't make them. So we actually saw a slightly better attendance with online training, really.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Joe, did you just raise your hand? No? Someone just raised their hand, but Becky, you were going to say something.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to feed in because, as you know, we're quite a small union, so we don't have sort of specific staff to run our training or anything like that. So this year, what I thought would be a good idea is to farm it out to different people across the university. So we did it last year, sort of beginning in like October time, and we had 2-day sessions where we had like sessional speakers coming in. So basically now we're just going to get people to film it, put the training together, and then put it online, which for us will be a lot easier than say me or Adam or whoever kind of delivering it, online training or putting it together.
Yeah.
That's helpful for smaller unions just to save time.
And I'll make a suggestion here that there's some stuff that you will all be saying that is 99% the same to your student leaders. And is there a world where we can collectively, as a group of people, create cool stuff? Like, there's 100 people in here. If half of us made a 15-minute training session and put it online on Vimeo or YouTube or something, you're all into student opportunities, so you get who you're talking to. I'd love to see that sort of thing happening, and I'd be happy to kind of help pull that kind of stuff together. And obviously I'm not exempting myself from this, saying you all do the work and I'll put it together. I'm happy to do that kind of stuff too. Like if there was a couple of topics that we were like, I don't know, this public speaking topic, could Becky do something on that, for example, and then it gets shared amongst all of our students. So think about that kind of stuff.
Hey Rosie, sorry, it's Joe.
Yeah.
I got so excited with my ideas and my new fancy Brittany mic that I fumbled it completely. But I was going to say I've been putting in the notes that you shared, the Google Doc. I've been putting in people who are offering to help, people who are looking for help, and I've just added a section for people who are interested in that kind of collaborative thing, because I think also there's scope to bring in other people to run like sessions on things like media law that are a bit more specialist, that will allow people to spread cost and time and effort, so that's great. So so feel free to stick your details in on there if that's useful, people.
And
and the other thing I was going to say is that people have done clever stuff with their websites before. So I know MSL have done things that kind of help automate the information gathering process of like who is running your group and then who's done what training. So it's worth chatting to them as well, because they'll probably have some good examples they can show you, and as help you use what you've already got and what you're already paying for.
Thank you. I've just reshared the document, so if anybody missed that at the start, it's in there again. Let's move on to our next kind of conversation topic. I know we're whizzing through everything, but as I said before, this is just the start and we can do more of these. So I'm really cheesy, sorry, but lots of you talked about maintaining community, student engagement, and wait for it, organised fun. Oh, so hilarious. No, lots of you asked for things like games and activities and tools. So I urge you to look at Joe's presentation from Monday, because she talked about some tools. So like there's loads, so I'm not going to go listing them all because I'll probably call them the wrong thing and then you'll laugh at me, but there's loads of online tools that you can use for doing things online. But next slide. Are you a social secretary? No, you're not. You're a professional or a sabbatical officer in student opportunities, and I have a small challenge for you, because I've seen online, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I've seen online that student unions are busting a gut to put a full social calendar together online, and that's really good. However, we're really good at student-led. So I think when you've started and you're showing them the sorts of stuff that can be done, but I think where we're going to be really powerful here and we're going to get more interesting stuff coming through is where we're giving our student leaders the ideas, the permission, the encouragement, the motivation to do this stuff themselves. So rather than the SU coming up with all the quiz questions or the SU running the dance thing, can we try and push that back to our students and not making it compulsory by any means for all of our groups and stuff to be doing this thing, because some people don't want to, can't, whatever, that's fine. But we're really good at student led. So I know some of you have been doing this already, so I'm not telling you off. I'm just saying for those that seem to have, I've been seeing quite a lot of pressure on particularly on student opportunities staff and comms teams working together to put these social calendars together. And I think we could be really good at student-led stuff. And I have a question mark on this point of quality over quantity, because I wrote that being like, obviously quality is better than quantity in terms of having stuff every day. But then I had a question on that sort of to discuss with all of you around, is it better to have a couple of really kind of good, well thought out activities that the SU is organising? Or is it better to show them a big diverse range of the different activities and have lots of different stuff going on so that students in different time zones can participate in stuff, students who aren't interested in this thing can do this thing? I don't know. So just something for you to think about. Again, opening it up to the chat from you, what have students been planning? How did you support them? What stuff have you been doing? What stuff have you been organising that's been successful? Tell us what's been good, and tell us what students have done that's been really cool.
So at Falmouth and Exeter SU, we've kind of given our Instagram over to different societies and sports clubs to kind of host things themselves. So like our Kung Fu Society has taken over it to like do like online workouts and stuff, and giving them a bigger platform has made them feel more empowered, but it's also taken some of the pressure off of us, and so that's been working really well at the moment.
Great. Someone's raised a hand. Feel free to unmute yourself and talk.
Hi, that's probably me. Hi, I'm Corella from Roehampton SU. We have quite a low engagement anyway. 50% of our students are off campus, so actually a lot of this is quite similar to what we do anyway. But we've created a RSU at home kind of branding, which we're hoping to get the students a bit more involved, which basically is every day we put on, or we give them 5 random activities. They can do it every time, and then we have a Netflix party every day at 5:30 Monday to Friday. And what has worked well is we've got our yoga society, for example. They're running online sessions. We've got HIIT classes. Our gaming society are doing Discord. We're still in the early stages, but it's worked quite well. And what it has given them is just a little bit of a support, because I don't know if anyone else has got this at the moment, but our online teaching thing is not great across the board of the university. So a lot of them are panicking. So we're just giving them one focus a day of just doing, even if it's like Joe Wick's workout, watch our Netflix party. And that's basically it. But we're still in the early stages. Yeah.
And I think, it's fair to say that none of the universities have cracked this online teaching yet. I wonder what academic societies are doing in terms of creating that space. Becky's raising a hand. Go.
Sorry, I've got a toddler in the background, just to bear with me.
She can join in, that's fine.
So we started within a couple of days, well, actually within a day, we did an online community. We did an online community, which within like a day had 800. Hold on a minute.
Does anybody else have distractions at home that are desperate to get involved in all of the work things?
Sorry.
Usually it's my cat, but it's just their kids now.
Oh, brilliant, she's following. Fabulous. So basically we had an online community group, which within a day had like 800 engaged members in it. And then off the back of that, we needed like a platform. With host games and stuff. So I set up Phoebe Cordner, stop it. Sorry, mum voice. So we started Discord with our esports society, and that's how we host the virtual games. We came up with like a timetable throughout the week, but now the ownership's now with the students. So we've got like ACMs doing so. Oh, darling girl, I'm sorry. We'll have this conversation in a minute. Yeah, so it's been really, really good. And now the students are taking it on, and they engage with the group and stuff, and run their own events, host them on there. We have a specific Christchurch Discord stream, or what it's called. We've also got a Steam account, so now they do their own Jackbox and things like that. So they've just now taken it. We've got an entire online, basically an SU online, effectively. So that's worked really well. If anyone wants some support in kind of how, I don't know how we did that, or what kind of platforms worked really well together, feel free to get in touch.
Yeah, and if you could write down a couple of those bits in the doc, that would be helpful too. Yeah, it sounds like there's loads happening, and I encourage you all to keep sharing, put them in the document. And if any of your societies are doing cool stuff and you want us to kind of repost it on any of our social media channels so that you can all see it, then just send it to Organised Fun and we'll repost it. Hi, Phoebe. Oh, wow. Welcome to Team Student Opportunities. Yeah, don't make it compulsory. That was my last point on this. Don't make the Organised Fun compulsory. As much as we all love Organised Fun, it's not for everyone, and some people have got other stuff to be worrying about at the moment rather than doing online quizzes and things. So last kind of section of this chat, and then we can leave it open for questions and discussions. Sorry, not sorry for the High School Musical picture. We're all in this together. We are there's lots of duplication happening. There's lots of cool ideas and different thinking. And as I mentioned before around the training stuff and whether there's things that we could do as a community, as student opportunities people, to save duplicating on work, I think that there's potentially some space for our societies, our clubs, our volunteering groups to do similar. And I wonder how we can facilitate that kind of thing. So my example that I've talked to a couple of people about over the last few days is dance. So lots of dance societies across the UK overnight have had to stop their in-person training. They've had to postpone shows. They've had to stop coming together physically in a space. And normally our physical boundary of the space that we do our rehearsals in, for example, means that for Christchurch students, they will go to Christchurch dance and they will dance with their other Christchurch students. And then for Falmouth and Exeter students, they will do that. But we haven't got that physical barrier right now of being in the same space. And lots of your sports clubs, your societies are doing stuff that's quite similar, and that's good. But I wonder if there is a space or a way that we can get some of them collaborating together too, because wouldn't that be cool if you've got a dance teacher from Hull doing an online session that's accessible to any student in any dance society in the UK. And in terms of charity law, it's fine because the primary purpose of that activity is for the benefit of the students at your union. But there's nothing wrong with us sharing this type of stuff. I don't have the answer for how we would do this. I'm just posing it as something that we could think about doing, because I think that it could open up some really interesting learning opportunities for our students and some opportunities to collaborate, which we might not have had otherwise. So on the screen are just a few kind of questions for us to talk through about what we can do as a community going forward. So this is just the start of this conversation. What can we do together to save duplication on work? Are there ways our student leaders and groups can connect? What should we do next? Do you want resources? Do you want more meetings like this? Should we do some blogs? Should we do some videos? Should we do this again in exactly the same format? If so, what topics should we cover? It's over to you. It doesn't all need to be created by me or Andrew at SU Skills. You can create stuff yourself, but also if we can do it, we will. So what do you think? There was a couple of raised hands, so feel free to just unmute yourself and chat.
So, hi everyone, I'm Andrew from SU Skills. I'm the one that sent all those emails. I'm happy to have like whatever documents, resources people produce. If they're happy for them to be shared, I'm happy for them to be hosted on the SU Skills website. I'm creating this resource hub of just stuff that people can use for free, whether it's templates or case studies or these videos or anything else. So yeah, happy to host anything.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone got any other thoughts about how we can carry on doing this sort of thing, or other stuff we could be doing?
Hi, I'm Lauren from Coventry. We've been talking for a while about trying to get our training online. I know in the sort of Midlands group meetings I've been going to, that some issues have gone online, but they found it quite a lengthy or expensive process. So we wanted to go online this summer anyway. And coronavirus has made sure that's definitely going to happen. So if there could be another one of these, whether it's smaller, I don't know, for people who can share which platforms they've used, maybe how much it's cost. Yeah, that would be super helpful for us.
Okay. Yeah, so there's definitely one about online training. Is there what other topics would be useful in that kind of format? So doing one of these, what else would be useful for people? And we can go into a bit more depth with stuff then if it's one topic.
Hey Rosie, it's Anna.
Hi.
Hello. So I think one thing that would be useful from my perspective is looking sort of past the summer and pre-planning with societies, but just having a general conversation about how people may look to facilitate freshers. Given that it's looking likely that most of us may not be back in the office until September if universities make the decision to do third term online teaching as well. And obviously there's still going to be some restrictions potentially in September, and what does that mean for freshers fairs and actually welcome week activities. At Trent we run 4 fairs across 3 different campuses, so it's looking like that we're not going to be able to facilitate for 3,000 5,000 students a day going through a sports hall, including 150 stalls. So I know there's been some institutions have done like online careers fairs and online volunteering fairs and things like that, so it'd be good to get some learning from that perspective, just to start planning and thinking about how we deliver ops come September as well.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I think the advice that I've been giving to people on that one so far is to lightly plan for plan A and plan B. Plan A being we do our freshers as normal and we have a fair as normal, but have the online option ready too, because it could be back to normal, but I think the likelihood is that it isn't. And if we're preparing for online, that's going to be helpful for accessibility anyway, even if we are going with the face-to-face type of engagement. So and again, like, go to your students to chat about that once you've kind of had a little bit of a conversation internally in your students' union about welcome and freshers, and you've got a little bit of an idea from your institution that it's okay to start talking about that. Without kind of telling your students what it's going to look like, go to some of your student leaders that are a bit more switched on and can kind of see that bigger picture around what's going on and get their ideas for what they would find interesting and useful during that time. Is there anything else? So I've got having a specific conversation about freshers and welcome, having a specific conversation about delivering an online training. Is there anything else like that that people would find helpful to do in this sort of format?
Hi Rosie, it's Jessica. I just put my hand up and realised I didn't have a video on. What I was going to suggest is, I know a couple of us have had email conversations in the student volunteering kind of mailing list thing around what we're doing in terms of face-to-face volunteering, what we're suggesting that students get involved with at this time. But I also think a big conversation like this with anyone who's involved specifically in volunteering might be really useful. Some people have shared posts or statements or whatever, and we're hoping to share something as well, but it'd be really cool to see what other people are doing, not just now, but also what they're going to do with their previous summer plans. what kind of stuff can we facilitate in summer if we're still in this kind of situation?
Yeah. I've made a document. It's very light touch, but I've made a document that I'll make sure I share with everybody that's on the Organised Fun website, that's digital and at-home volunteering options. Also, there is the new NHS call out that's just happened, which obviously lots of students would be great for that. So in the immediate, there's some things to be looking at, but I think
totally
good conversation to have.
I think one of the particular things that I think would be useful, even if we can share something about students volunteering individually, for example the NHS thing or at home stuff, is also about the plans that we might have had for summer volunteering. So in-person events and stuff like that, where do we go with that? Has anyone got ideas of bigger things that we can do in the future that aren't kind of face to face? But yeah, that'd be really cool. Thanks.
Can I jump in, sorry, really quickly, without kind of crossing too many hats and jobs and stuff, so I'm working on a document at the moment in regards to fundraising for our student groups. So I've got a whole rag team that now are like, how do I collect money for our 3 Peaks challenge, or how do we do any of this sort of stuff? And I know it's not technically kind of sports and societies, but a lot of our sports and society, that's where most of our fundraising comes from. So if anyone's got any ideas of stuff that they've already thought about in terms of fundraising, like online virtual ways of doing it, I've got a list going at the moment. It'd be good to get some resources up on the NASFA website and put out into our fundraising sort of communities to get that going as well.
We could potentially do something together with NASFA and with the Institute of Fundraising, talking about digital fundraising, because the fundraising sector has put out loads of stuff, but from an individual student who's involved in fundraising, it's a lot to digest. So if we can help with that, that might be useful. Okay, I'm gonna just pause this bit where we got to, because we're kind of getting to nearly an hour now. And encourage you to put more stuff in the chat that you think would be helpful, and Andrew and myself will have a look through those. I'm sure Jo Walters from 25 Dots will have a look through. She's good at the comsy stuff. But also if any of it that you're kind of interested in being involved in, then just make that clear to us, and then we'll do a bit of organising of this stuff to try and work out a bit of a plan. So I've got one more slide for you, and then it's just a chance for kind of questions and other ideas. So this last slide is just in terms of our next steps and some next steps for you. We've recorded this session, so I will never watch it again because I hate watching myself speak again. It's awkward as, but you're welcome to, and you're welcome to share it with people. It's not a locked down resource. It's something for anybody who needs it and wants it. We'll create a resource with the ideas and recommendations so that it's easy to share with people and to remember. As I just mentioned when Jess was talking, we pulled together a really quick digital and at-home volunteering. It's just a 2-pager. That's on the Organised Fun website now. Again, it's free. Use it as you want. Send it to your students if you want to. That's what it's for. There's some really cool little volunteering opportunities there that I didn't know about before doing that research. So some good, interesting stuff there. For you, if you can email if you need or want something else, or want to work together on any of this stuff. I know you're all really busy, so don't feel like you have to. But if you're interested in anything we've talked about today, or if you've got ideas for things that we could do going forward, then please let us know. As I said before, if your students are doing cool stuff, we'd love to share it. So just tag us in it on social media and we'll share stuff, and then you can see in one place all these things that are happening. I've put some space in my diary on Mondays and Fridays, and you can get those. So on the Organised Fun website, there's a link with my cheesy face on it, and you can book in a half-an-hour appointment. So I don't have all the answers, but I'm happy to chat about student opportunities with anybody. So book yourself in if you want to chat, to just do a bit of problem solving together, or if you just want to chat about something else, that's fine. And the other thing for you that I should have put in here but I didn't, is the thing that I talked about at the very start. You've got 2 more days to get in nominations for the National Societies and Volunteering Awards, so make sure you do that, because that will go ahead online and we'll be doing some sort of kind of fun online awards event in May to celebrate the winners of those. So that's it from me. I'm happy to answer some questions for 5 or 6 minutes, or for you to kind of have a chat with each other about other bits and bobs. Or if you've got to dash off, then just pop your questions and anything in the document or in the chat, and then we'll follow up with you later on. Anything from anyone?
Thank you for doing this, Rosie. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It's been a pleasure. It's been so nice to see lots of you and chat with you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rosie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Rosie.
Thanks, Rosie.
I've just got one quick question.
Sure.
We've just started moving over all of our stuff online, like most people, and we've got a Facebook group, and the memberships are growing quite well. We're up to like 180 or so. I just wondered, are people finding it difficult to be utilising different areas? So at the moment, we're on Teams with our work colleagues, starting to use Zoom now that we can use with students. Everyone's talking about House Party. So I just wondered, are people finding that it's diluting engagement if you use too many platforms, or is that working for people?
I find it pretty open at UCL. Yeah, we find societies use varieties of different platforms for kind of communication, and kind of what we're moving now more towards is kind of looking at how best they can use those different platforms to run their events. In actual fact, I find it kind of goes the opposite for us in terms of people are able to actually access those events. Some people, obviously, in terms of Facebook running events over kind of Facebook streaming and Facebook Live and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But everybody has Facebook and all this kind of stuff. So we kind of encourage societies where possible to kind of run events. We're running some Give It a Goes online, which is quite cool. I mean, all that kind of stuff works. But actually, the more platforms that we can train our societies to use, the more students will actually get involved. So I think it will actually help.
Yeah, that's great, because we're at the moment, it was interesting when you just said about the fact that we're feeling that pressure to run stuff, because that's exactly, so like our esports society is starting to engage, Disney society is starting to, but really it is just our team kind of trying to think, right, what can we do next? So maybe we could talk in smaller groups just about how I'd love it if we could just say, look, here's the platforms, we've got it all sussed out, now you take over, rather than still having it kind of, oh, what's going to work? So but yeah, thanks again, Rosie. Great as ever. Even better.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I think there's definitely like overload in terms of like having to keep an eye on all of these different things. I get that, and I don't support loads of student groups like you do, so I can't imagine how you're keeping on track of everything. So well done, everyone. I think we'll finish off here. If you've got any other questions, I'll stay on for just a couple more minutes, but just want to say thanks to Andrew from SU Skills for hosting this and for pulling this idea together, because I think it's a really good thing to do. I've really enjoyed talking to everybody, and it's really nice to hear what you're all doing. So thank you, Andrew, and thanks to Jo, because I copied some of her format from her session on Monday, and I learned stuff on Monday too. And yeah, and if anybody wants to run one of these, you don't have to be a consultant to run one of these. It's just that we're the 3 people that have run the first ones, but I'm sure Andrew will agree with me that and Jo, that we don't know everything, and that if anybody's got any ideas of things that they'd like to run in this format, then Andrew's been really helpful in facilitating this for me, so I'm sure he would do the same for any of you. And hopefully I'll speak to lots of you again soon in another one of these sessions. Jo said she knows all the things, so.
She does. You both do. Yeah, thank you very much for giving your time, Rosie, all that amazing ideas and suggestions, and also the reassurance that people need. So that's really important as well. I think I'm hearing loud and clear that the next one of these should be about online training. So I'm going to work on that. People just keep an eye on my, Rosie's and Jo's social media channels, which you'll see here and on the document. You'll be able to find out when the next one is. And yeah, like Rosie said, I'd like as many people as possible to lead these, particularly like an officer, to do one, particularly around how they're kind of representing what the student union is doing to the university, and kind of being involved in the really high level discussions are going to have a big impact on students. So I've approached a couple of people, but if there's any volunteers, then please just let me know. But yeah, thank you very much, Rosie.
Yep. There's some really good suggestions in the chat. So I think do we keep a record of the chat? How does that work?
Yeah, I get the chat as a text file, so I will put
lovely.
that as well as the video on the SU Skills site. So yeah, people will see.
Great, good, cool. Right, well, we'll finish off here then. So bye, pals. Keep doing what you're doing. You're fabulous. Someone's got some lovely bird song behind them. I think it must be Dan.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might be me.
Yeah, it's you. Oh, how nice. Oh, Sophie's made a good suggestion about supporting SABs, incoming and outgoing SABs. What do we do now? Do we just leave?
Yeah, Rosie, if you leave the meeting as the host, that will end it for everyone.
Okay. Great, in theory. How do I actually do it? Here we go, end meeting, right. Click that. Oh, you're still there. I suck at tech. I'm glad it's not my job. Right, bye.
Please, just want to chat to us. Bye.
End meeting for all. Bye.